And we're live.
Hey, everyone. Hello, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Yep.
Hello.
So, yeah, the Denko and Sota. So my name is Sota Watanabe. I'm founder of Plasm Network and Stake Technologies and the Shiden Network. So, yeah, we have three founders today, and we are going to discuss the standalone chain and the Parachain. So basically, we have another option called the Parathread. So we are going to compare with the standalone chain to the other option. So, but first, let's introduce ourselves. So let's start from Denko. Could you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Denko. I'm the CEO of Reef Finance. Reef Finance is building an infrastructure for the next DeFi generation of dApps. I'm pretty sure a lot of the audience is already familiar with Reef, and we are preparing for mainnet launch in 2 days. Actually, 3. Thanks.
Cool. How about Alex? Oh, you're muted, maybe. Oh, yeah. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sounds good. Awesome. Yeah. Once again, I'm Alex. Team. I'm also the founder, and at Equilibrium we're creating the first interoperable DeFi conglomerate, which embraces almost all sustained use cases, including pooled lending, centralized stablecoins, synthetic asset generation. We're also building the professional-grade order book-based decentralized exchange on top of that. Actually, the main problem that we're solving in the space is the fragmentation of liquidity. And we are building on this substrate technology for quite a while, since the beginning of the last year. So we have got quite a lot of experience in that, and we're getting prepared for becoming the parachain on Kusama, since we have announced the launch of our Chinchilla parachain there, which is sort of more brave setup compared to Equilibrium, which is supposed to be the parachain on Polkadot. However, initially we've been designing the system to hedge our risk against the delays in parachain launch, so that we can launch everything into production. The standalone substrate, I'll definitely touch on that in the course of our today's conversation. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Cool. And also, my name is Sota Watanabe. I'm founder of Plasm Network. Plasm Network is the multi-virtual machine smart contract hub in a Polkadot ecosystem. Polkadot Relay Chain does not support smart contract functionality. So basically, all people in the ecosystem need at least one parachain that supports smart contract. We are supporting Ethereum virtual machine as well as the WebAssembly. So we call it cross virtual machine. So we support both, Ethereum virtual machine as well as WebAssembly. Cool. So basically, we are making the parachain, and all parachain are based on Substrate. So Substrate is a customizable blockchain framework made by Parity. So my first question is, what is the advantages to use Substrate? Maybe start from Denko or Alex.
Sure. Yeah. So
Go ahead.
First of all, just to explain it a bit better for the audience, why Substrate is extremely important, and why the blockchains which support EVM and are built with Substrate are a completely different beast than Ethereum or BSC or anything out there. So what happens is, first of all, Substrate is a framework with which one can build blockchains. It's very customizable. And what's extremely important is this very low level, which is networking and all these like complex layers, which is, I think it takes like 80% of your time to build a blockchain. This is the most complicated part. Substrate gives you this out of the box. So you can focus on what matters. You can focus to tailor your blockchain for your user base and for your target of which kind of dApps you want to run. And what's cool about Substrate is that it supports multiple VMs. So it's a very, very extensible framework. And on top of that, you can even have functionality which allows linking between those different VMs. So yeah, we think that Substrate is by far, like, there is no competitor to Substrate, like a framework with which you can build blockchains. This is the framework that powers the next generation blockchains, and obviously Polkadot and Kusama being the, those, they're like meta protocols which are also built with Substrate, and they're the ones that are tying together all the network. So projects such as Plasm and Equilibrium, they're like the Parachains, or they're the ones that are bringing the actual functionality on top of this network. So this is what Substrate is. You can either build your own meta protocol such as Polkadot, or you can deploy a very complicated blockchain with a lot of runtime modules. You have on-chain governance. You have on-chain upgradability, which is something that Ethereum will probably never have to this degree, and it will probably never have on-chain governance. So yeah, this is what Substrate is, and all of us are using it to build the next generation blockchain technology.
Awesome. So what do you think about Alex?
Yeah, I totally agree that the Substrate technology actually gives the developers the outstanding level of flexibility in terms of building the applications, first of all, because alongside with the existing models that you can utilize in your application and basically take the logic out of the box, you can firstly make actually certain amendments to these modules and to encode your own logics, like for example customize something in terms of the governance or some balances. So for example, at Equilibrium we have very, very highly customized balance palette, which allows us for doing certain things, which is very convenient for building DeFi applications, because we have lending functionality, which is almost implemented out of the box thanks to using this customization in the balance palette. And on top of that, you can definitely build your modules called palettes, and I'm sure that everyone knows that palettes is sort of the building block for the application on top of the Substrate technology. So these palettes can contain almost like all the custom logics, and it can be really, really custom and run. So you efficiently encoding things directly in the runtime of your blockchain, which is completely different developer experience if we compare that to building in some isolated environments per se on Ethereum, EVM, or some other blockchain platforms. Obviously, alongside with certain flexibility and advantages that you can take out of this approach, there is definitely some risks which this approach implies, because you need to be very qualified developer in order to build your own Substrate and become the Parachain eventually. And definitely the barrier for entrance for new developers is quite high here. However, again, thanks to projects like Plasm, guys are building the quite convenient environment for developers, and actually they can leverage this environment to build their applications. We definitely will see other projects who want to test their business models on top of Polkadot first before they decide whether they want to go for own Parachain. Yeah.
Got it.
So.
Got it. That is wonderful. So yeah, I think as you guys said, we have a common features such as Ethereum compatibility or the on-chain governance on Substrate, because this is the palette, right? So palette can be used for every Parachain. So my next question is, what makes Reef unique? So what makes Equilibrium unique in the Polkadot ecosystem? So maybe it starts from Alex.
Yeah, maybe you can reiterate the question. So say it again. What makes us unique? I'm sorry, just you kind of.
Yeah. Basically, what makes your project unique in the Polkadot ecosystem? Yeah. Sure.
So first of all, just getting back to the basics and why actually we decided to build things on Polkadot, maybe shed a little bit more light on why exactly Equilibrium is unique, not just for the Polkadot ecosystem, but for the entire DeFi markets, DeFi space. So basically, at some point we were considering, we have a lot of experience in building things on different blockchain platforms, including, by the way, Ethereum. However, at some point we were considering some other platforms, and we actually found ourselves in the place where we had to make certain decision, like where we need to deploy the core logics of our application so that we can basically bridge these logics with other blockchain networks, and will not be forced to build everything from scratch on entirely new technologies, right? Because it's actually really time consuming to basically figure out how exactly you can leverage certain technology and dig into the details and build everything from basically off the ground. And actually, we were considering obviously first of all the cross-chain interoperable platforms. So from this perspective, Polkadot is the perfect fit, and obviously, like from our standpoint, Polkadot is the most advanced platforms from overall like blockchain space and all the platforms that we have on the market. So that's why Polkadot was quite natural choice, first of all. And since we are building on the entirely new blockchain ecosystem, we were thinking which innovation we can bring into that, right? Because we were free to design everything almost from scratch, off the ground. We had a greenfield to design, and we thought that it will be quite relevant to build the conglomerate of DeFi projects, which will have the quite brave architecture, which will be underpinning all the product line that we'll be building eventually. And since the platform, which has interoperability as a feature out of the box, it actually delivers certain user experience, right? And you can bridge different crypto assets from different other blockchain networks in one application. We decided that we need to solve not just only liquidity fragmentation, but the fragmentation of the entire crypto market, and actually enhance the user experience by introducing the whole bunch of DeFi use cases in a one-stop shop. Right, so it was also quite natural decision, and you can take two approaches here. So the first one, you can build up the aggregator, right? Like for example, like the guys from whatever, like Zerion or 1inch do. I believe that almost like that. Like this approach is Denko's team taking, right? So you're also building the aggregator of liquidity. Another approach here is building the conglomerates of DeFi products with your own business logics implemented by yourself, right? So we actually decided to take the second approach. I'm sure that the first approach is also fantastic. You can definitely you can be very flexible in terms of like adding new protocols into your aggregators and stuff, while you are not that flexible when you're building everything yourself. However, like on our side, we are not relying on some third-party logics, right? But we are building, like we have very thought out architecture, which has certain interesting innovations, which is leveraging the advantages of the Polkadot technology, first of all, right? For example, of chain workers, if you wish, I can touch on that a little bit later. But in broad strokes, like we are building something really unique, the very balanced system, which takes advantages of aggregated liquidity from various blockchains, and we're introducing a bunch of use cases on top of that. I think that we're actually the first one of these kinds on Polkadot.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, cross-chain messaging passing and also interoperability is the near future. In the interoperability is not just a buzzword right now. It became a reality. So we are really excited to see the XCMP, the cross-chain messaging passing use cases in coming months through Equilibrium. And so Denko, what makes the unique in the Polkadot ecosystem?
Sure. So again, just like Alex, I would go through why we decided to be a parachain and even build our own infrastructure in first place. So as many of I see there is a lot of our community here. So our first initial goal is to be this middleware layer, which we are still working on, where we would deploy on-chain infrastructure, which would aggregate all of these protocols, make it as generic as we possibly can, and make it as simple as possible for newcomers. So our goal is make DeFi easy for everyone. So my friends are not that involved in this space, so I'm trying to gather where are they struggling. So they have problems like what is liquidity pool, what is this, what is like those financial primitives. They're really complex concepts for people that are not familiar with finance or fintech or things like that. So this is our main goal, to onboard as many users as possible. So this, in the whole infrastructure stack, it means we would be on top. We would be kind of the gateway, and then from there, it's like, if you take a look at like MasterCard, they're at the very like top. Everyone is using them, and in the background you have like banks, you have SEPA and so on and so forth, down the whole stack. So after we launched, we've got a lot of traction. We've already deployed our first version of the baskets out there. We are extending it further with more types of baskets and so on. Our developers always wanted to build our own blockchain, and the reason behind is that we've seen that this current landscape, the smart contract demand has been underserved, and hence why the rise of ecosystems such as BSC, which is a great. I even mentioned that even before the launch that we are considering of becoming a parachain, and so why we decided to first build our own blockchain is because we want to really focus on DeFi. So we are building infrastructure to even link our debit cards natively with our own chain. So then it's a whole kind of what happens with this. We're going down basically the whole infrastructure stack, but we're still focusing mostly on just on DeFi. And the reason why we decided to go with a standalone substrate chain instead of becoming a parachain from the very beginning, it's very simple. First of all, we really wanted to go out there like as soon as possible, because we have all of these users that really wanna get onboarded on Reef chain. They really wanna start like deploying their own tokens, etc. So we just wanted to make sure that we onboard them on time, because they don't want to wait for a very long time. And the other reason is projects such as Plasm and Akala. In my opinion, they're the main players who are building Polkadot, right? So as Sota mentioned, Polkadot itself does not have support for smart contracts. So someone needs to be the main kind of infrastructural layer that people can do something with it. And those projects have been building there before us, and they will be the first parachains out there. So we wanted to, and what's most important about Polkadot, the value of it comes from the network of all the parachains. So obviously you either have to be the first, such as Plasm and Akala, and then you capture a lot of network effect. People are building on top of it, and so that's like a huge advantage. And then if you are becoming like fifth or sixth parachain down the line, you have to make sure that the network effect that you're getting from all the parachains is worth the wait compared to launching as a standalone substrate chain. But so this is our thinking behind this decision. And then obviously we want to capture the network effect from becoming a parachain as well, but we are aware that we won't be the first parachain, hence why we would be the first standalone substrate chain, and then plug into the Polkadot network in the future. So and on top of that, the other reason is the risk in terms of it's still unknown territory. So you guys are kind of the pioneers, the first like slots that will be secured. And as we know, Polkadot itself, it's a pretty complex beast. So hence why the delays, which is completely understandable because it's a very complicated system. So we want to make sure the moment we plug in as a parachain, the network effect from the parachains is there, so we can capture that. The XCMP is mature enough so that we can start integrating with other chains, create those bridges and so on and so forth. And then obviously the cost and everything associated with it it's something that we think it's worth it, but it's worth it if you are the first out there, and then I think over time it will get more cost efficient to become a parachain. So that's it. Like we want to wait out until there are like multiple parachains. We have the network effect is out there, XCMP is built, and then we'll plug in as well. So this is the
Cool. Yeah, I think Denko mentioned very interesting the topic. So how can we become the standalone chain to Parachain? So basically, every project has every milestone and roadmap. So some of the projects have the aim to become one of the first Parachain. Some of the projects are not. So I would like to ask you guys how to become a Parachain from standalone chain. So maybe Alex, could you talk about the auction stuff?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, maybe I also wanted to highlight on our path in terms of like becoming the parachain and how exactly we're rolling this out. So first of all, like we certainly understand the risk of overall parachain stuff to be delayed, and it already happened a couple of times. So in our projects, we have been designing things so that we can launch everything into production, being the standalone substrate, and we are definitely got prepared for that. The one thing that I'm concerned of with regards to this approach is that that network effect that you can get from becoming the parachain is something that you can miss eventually if you are going to be the standalone substrate. Because in this case, like you need to be very much confident that the community will follow you and will start using your products without like accessing to the entire ecosystem of whatever network like Polkadot or Kusama. So in terms of like DeFi, I think that this network effects plays a very significant role. Like the thing is that obviously like the early days for parachains, hoping back again. Yes, awesome.
I'm still here. I have to move the camera a bit, and then sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying that for sure in the early days of parachains, when first slots will be auctioned, there will be not that much network effects and the value in these actual parachains, because obviously there will be no messaging, there will be no sort of other functionality that you can expect, so like access to bridges, to other parachain projects, whatever. However, but I think that the overall network effect will come when you become the actual parachain, right? Because like you will get on the spot, you will have the attention from the community, and eventually you get more value. Despite you will not be able to interact with other parachains in the first time. So like for us, it was really difficult considerations, right? Like as I mentioned, again, we got prepared for launching the standalone substrate. We even built the Ethereum bridge ourselves, right? So we were connected with the Ethereum network. We're also integrating the RenVM solution as Bitcoin bridge to bridge Bitcoin with our substrate. So from this perspective, like if we even got connected to some of these networks like Kusama or Polkadot, even without messaging, we'll be bridging Ethereum and Bitcoin from the very beginning, which makes a lot of sense and brings certain value to our application. So we eventually decided to go for the Kusama auction, because it seems like Kusama auctions will be launched first, and apparently it will happen relatively soon. Like the expectation was the next week, but it seems like things are getting delayed once again. So maybe like a couple weeks or so. So eventually we'll be participating in Kusama auctions, launching there the Jinchura Parachain, which will be the sort of testing site for our product line, more sort of experimental, sharing the experimental spirits of the Kusama network. However, like we decided to hold things back until like we become the Parachain on Kusama, which will which will be like from our standpoint, which will be relatively easy because there are not that many projects that are currently ready for going into production on Kusama. And I think the overall sort of perception of the Kusama network, so that it will be the network with lower barriers compared to Polkadot, right? So relatively cheaper parachain slots, and so on and so forth. And by the way, we consider that, you know, plugging into Kusama, it's the good opportunity for you to test out things, not only from the technical perspective, but also your business models and your approach, how exactly, you know, will be the perception of the community with regards to your products, how exactly community will start utilize them and playing around. So I think it's definitely a good opportunity. For sure. However, again, if we understand that the per se like parachain auctions on Kusama will be delayed until per se like September, whatever, it can happen potentially, right? Because no one knows. It's still the high level of uncertainty here. We definitely will go into production as is, right? Because again, as I said, we're connected with all major blockchain networks, and from the product perspective, we can do that.
Got it. That's awesome. So yeah, basically just like Equilibrium, Plasm network has two networks. The one network is Shiden network for the Kusama Parachain, and the Plasm network for the Polkadot Parachain. So I think this is the best practice for the Parachain builders from my perspective. But I would like to ask to Denko. So do you have any plan to launch Kusama Parachain and the Polkadot Parachain at the same time, or do you have just one Parachain? Just one network for the Kusama and Polkadot Parachain? Yeah, but what is your strategy to become a Parachain?
Yeah. So first, right now we are focused on launching the mainnet. So we have not put a lot of resources on on the Parachain front. So what happens after we launch mainnet? We have canary. It's like 30 days canary, and then we proceed into the non-resettable mainnet. And that's when we will start allocating some of our resources in order to figure out. We've already talked. There are multiple ways how can we plug into the network. Obviously the first one will be Kusama, because I believe it will take probably like a few more months until we see Polkadot Parachains. And as Alex mentioned, the barrier of entry is lower. The cost is probably way lower. I mean, we don't know yet what the cost, but it's probably way lower. So yeah, we would first be on Kusama, and then we'll see how Polkadot progresses. But we wanna be present on both of the networks.
Awesome. Yeah, I think one of the cost slot is going to be very expensive, so it does make sense to join the let's say number 6 Parachain or number 7 Parachain, just because cost efficiency. Yeah, it makes sense a lot. Exactly.
Also, when do you think how do you think in terms of time frame? When we'll see the auction is happening soon for Kusama, but does winning an auction? So winning an auction doesn't mean becoming a parachain right away, right?
Yep.
Like you're scheduled to become a parachain. So what are the time frames here?
Yeah, I can explain the auction. So basically, we are waiting for the auction for 2 years. So I don't care. Just if Web3 Foundation delay 1 week or something like that, because we are waiting for the 2 year right now. And so we are going to have several auctions, and each auction has one winner. So if we win the first auction, we're gonna be the first parachain, and there will be a second auction. And if let's say Equilibrium becomes win the second auction, Equilibrium is going to be a second parachain. So yeah, the first auction is going to be in June, I think, the beginning of the June. But the first step, the common good parachain should be deployed on Kusama. So common good parachain is called the state mine, developed by Parity Technologies. So basically, this is the common goods for the old parachain. So state mine does not have our own token, but let's say USDT can be issued on state mine, and we can use USDT on Plasm and Ethereum and Reef once we became a Parachain. So we had a Decoded, right, last week, the biggest event in the Polkadot. And they said, the party said, they're going to upgrade the shell chain, which has already deployed on Kusama, to Setmine. And after that, they're going to announce the auction at least 7 days before actually it starts, because the onboarding KSM token takes 7 days. So yeah, it's almost end of the May. So auction starts definitely in June, or maybe July. I don't know. Yeah, but once it's ready, it's ready.
Yeah, and this is for all right.
Yeah.
Got it.
And Polkadot auctions are expected in almost like 1 month after the first auction on Kusama, around that.
Yep.
So at least that was the time frame declared by GAF, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep. So cool. So yeah, it's around 30 minutes. So let's answer the question from the community.
Sure.
So
I saw...
first question. Yes, the first question is, is it feasible to move from a standalone chain to Parachain and back? Do you have any answer?
I think
Yes.
technically you can do that, right? So you basically win the Parachain slot for some certain period of time, per se, like half a year, 1 year, whatever. And after you the lease period ends, you basically can become the standalone back the standalone Parachain.
Yeah. So what happens is there are multiple like ideas. Obviously, as I mentioned, we will be exploring further which one of these ideas makes more sense. One of it is you can launch like another network when you win the Parachain slot, and then bridge them together. And one option is the Parachain slot. The Parachain itself is a bridge, just a bridge to. So it's just your own, basically another relayer. And the other one is where you can kind of save the state, freeze it somewhere, and then completely relaunch it, which is like this is the most problematic one of all. Obviously, we have some advisors which are part of the Polkadot core team, and we are working with them in terms of like discussing different ideas and so on. But we will definitely there are ways how to do this, and obviously you can even keep your validators and then have also have the relay chain also like as an added security layer, so you're like even more secure, let's put it that way. Even though the relay chain is secure enough, you can still you don't have to like get rid of your own validators. That's still a possibility. So we will just explore the best path forward. But what's important for Reef Chain is that we really want to achieve real decentralization as soon as possible. So we will run the first few validators will be ourselves, our dev team, and then right away, like we will vote new validators which are part of the Reef ecosystem. So some of the best projects that will get the most traction out, they will get voted, and the goal is for us to achieve minority, and then from there we will decide how and when and through which mechanism we will be plugging in the Kusama and Polkadot networks.
Cool.
Yeah, I also maybe wanted to add to that some highlights from our experience. So we also will be using several substrates eventually, specifically for our DEX. One substrate which is expected to be plugged into the Polkadot ecosystem will be used for settlement. Another one will be used for our DEX to make faster transactions, like faster matching, and eventually like. It's the right approach, which is essential for the Polkadot ecosystem, right? The approach of sharding, which is like delivered out of the box by the Substrate technology and the Polkadot setup overall. So that's something we're also will be using as well. And currently, by the way, we're already running our networks, both testnet, mainnet, with the external validators. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty smooth experience, by the way.
Awesome. So the second question from the community is, what does the relay chain actually provide? And also, why did you choose Polkadot instead of Avalanche, Cosmos, and Matic? Yeah, two questions at the same time. So
should I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So as you know, we're still focused on deploying our middleware in as many ecosystems as possible. How I see this, and we even tell some projects like, hey, yeah, Reef is a DeFi chain, deploy your stuff here, and then we still tell them, try it in as many ecosystems as you can, because it feels like opening another shop in another city. Then you will see in which city the product that you have is working the best, because each ecosystem has their own audience, their own community. So we as Reef are positioned in deploying our baskets to as many ecosystems as possible, and bridging to those ecosystems. So as Alex mentioned, it's all about the defragmentation of liquidity and improving of UI UX. So even Reef chain itself will be focused on this. And the reason why we decided to build on Polkadot and Kusama is the fact that this ecosystem is focused on exactly this. It's focused on cross-chain communication. It's focused on interoperability. By far, they've put like incredible amount of resources in this, and this is the main reason, because we believe that as this landscape progresses, instead of adding more and more fragmentation, someone such as Parity, who has enough power and resources to build such a beast, that's why we believe in the ecosystem, because I think in 5 years from now we will not be talking about fragmentation. The whole layer will mature, and then everything will be interconnected and very easy for the end user. So this is the reason.
Cool. Do you have any comments, Alex?
Yeah, I'm fully committed to this kind of approach, and definitely support what just Denka said. Again, we've been building dApps for quite a while, and back in the days in 2017, the interoperability sounded like magic, and now it happens, which is kind of exciting, and we definitely are excited to explore this opportunity, building things on Polkadot, you obviously remember that the guys have been building Polkadot for 4 years till now, right? So it's definitely the incredible amount of resources being put into these developments, and I know that the technical team behind Polkadot is one of the most qualified, and actually the technology stack that they're using, like specifically Rust, and the precision in terms of like resources of the network, and how the level of attention they're paying to details is incredible, and definitely brings certain advantages to those who are building applications on top of this technology. So we are utilizing these advantages in Equilibrium as well. As I mentioned, we're using, for example, off-chain workers quite intensively, and we think that specifically off-chain workers is the incredible invention, and we definitely like to utilize them for off-chain computations. Yeah, so I think overall it's a great time to start building something on Polkadot, because we are still in the very beginning, and again, the variety of instruments that Polkadot offers to the dApp developers is really huge.
Yeah. So I think last question is to Denko. So when will Reef become a Polkadot Parachain? So some of the people are interested in it.
Yeah, so we don't know when is the Polkadot auction starting even. So I would expect sometime, like my best guess is Q4 this year, but this does not solely depend on us. It depends on as you said, on parity and on the facts that I mentioned earlier. So obviously, if there is a big network effect, we would be pushing out to become faster. It's all about like balance between like cost, what you're getting, and when things are becoming possible in general. So nobody right now can become a parachain. And no, we don't know the exact dates, but I believe this year, by end of this year, we will be able to plug into the network as well. Most likely, latest would be Q1. It again doesn't depend on us. It depends on the bigger ecosystem.
Got it. So yeah, thanks so much. So time is running out right now. So could you give us the last comments regarding your product or regarding your future?
Yes, sure. So as I mentioned, we are launching our mainnet in 3 days. We are onboarding projects massively, and we are even announcing a big ecosystem fund by Reef. It's a really big fund. So this is our intention is to become decentralized as soon as possible, and deploy our IDO platform as well, and then just start growing this ecosystem. And looking forward to onboard as many users as possible.
Awesome.
How about Alex?
Sure. So we currently are very much focused on the product developments. We have approached the development of our decentralized exchange, making the first moves here, and expect we will have some first version coming out quite soon. And definitely the functionality of this exchange will be quite interesting for experienced traders. We'll be delivering the margin trading functionality thanks to leveraging our lending platform, which is another part of our DeFi platform. Simultaneously, we are paying very close attention to what's happening with Kusama auctions. As I said, we are launching the Jinchira Parachain, which will be a part of the Kusama network eventually, and bring certain value to the Kusama community, because as I said, it will have more experimental set of system parameters. It will have more wider sort of lineup of assets listed on the platform. Will be less selective on Jinchira. It will be more popular assets bridged from Ethereum, also Bitcoin, and since we have the bridge with both networks, it will be working almost from the day one. So yeah, currently we're getting prepared for our Parachain lease offering on Kusama. By the way, we have already conducted the first phase of our PLO for Polkadot, collected successfully $250,000 for that as a part of our bid for the Parachain slot on Polkadot. And yeah, we will be happy to see the community supporting us during the auctions on Kusama. You can find us at equilibrium.io and Jinchira.io if you wish to ask some questions, or you have some related comments. We'll be happy to serve you and to guide you through all the processes and stuff. Thanks very much.
All right, cool. Yeah, Kusama Parachain auction is coming, and Polkadot Parachain auction is coming soon. So yeah, let's make Web3 together. All right, thanks gentlemen for coming, and thank you guys for joining the Cloudcast.
Thanks very much. Likewise, pleasure.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good week ahead. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Till soon.